The silence in my life now is something I had to build brick by painful brick over a foundation of absolute ruin. For 10 years I was married to a woman named Cassandra, and for 9 of those years I was her prisoner. She was a work of art, a sculptor who used people as her clay, and I was her masterpiece of misery. In public, she was the charismatic visionary, the founder of a high-end lifestyle and wellness company called Sphere, a place that promised enlightenment and sold overpriced supplements. She was all dazzling smiles and loving gazes, her hand always finding mine at corporate galas, making sure the photographers saw the perfect power couple. But behind the closed doors of our sterile minimalist mansion, she was a predator. She'd dismantle my confidence with the precision of a surgeon. Her words were quiet, calculated strikes designed to make me believe I was nothing without her. And I did. I believed I was a failure, a burden she graciously carried. The final public performance was her best. At the company's national conference, she was given a special award, and she dedicated it to me. She stood on a stage under blinding white lights, a single perfect tear tracing a path down her cheek as she spoke about my unwavering support, my strength, my soul. The applause was deafening. The next day I came home from my architecture firm to an echo. The house was a tomb, stripped of every piece of furniture, every painting, every memory. The only thing she left behind was a note on the cold kitchen island that said, "You were always just a stepping stone." That note was the first crack of light in a decade-long night, the shock that finally broke the spell, and it was the spark that ignited the slow-burning fire of my resolve. It was seeing an old college friend, David, suddenly appear on my social media feed smiling in a photo with Cassandra, announcing he was the newest regional director for Sphere. David knew. He had seen the shell I'd become. He'd listened to the few hushed, terrified stories I dared to share. Seeing him in her grasp, seeing that same hopeful, naive glint in his eyes that I once had, was like watching a man walk willingly into a bear trap. I knew then that my silence was a luxury I could no longer afford. My peace was worthless if it was bought with the ruin of others. I couldn't let her do to David what she had done to me. I had to burn her empire to the ground. My hands trembled as I unlocked the small, fireproof safe in my study. During our divorce, driven by a desperate need for answers, I had hired a private investigator. I just wanted to understand who I had married. What he found was colder and darker than I could have ever imagined. It wasn't just about her manipulative business practices. Years before she met me, Cassandra had a brother, a supposed black sheep of the family who tragically died in a solo hiking accident abroad. The story was her cornerstone, a tale of loss she used to garner sympathy and explain the source of her fierce independence. But the investigator found the truth. He found proof of a massive life insurance policy, one that paid out to Cassandra just weeks after his death. He also found a sworn affidavit from a disgruntled morgue attendant in a tiny foreign country, a man who claimed the body was never positively identified beyond a shadow of a doubt, and that he was paid a substantial sum to expedite the paperwork. Cassandra hadn't just built her company on lies, she'd built it on a ghost. She had funded her ascent with the fraudulent claim of her own brother's death. For years, I kept this information buried, a toxic secret I wanted to forget. But now, holding the crisp documents, the weight of them felt different. It was no longer a burden, it was a weapon. The annual Sphere convention was in 3 weeks, a massive event in Las Vegas where Cassandra was slated to give the keynote address. It was the perfect stage. I spent days drafting the letter, writing and rewriting until every word was precise, emotionless, and undeniable. I made copies of the investigator's entire file, the insurance payout, the bank transfers to the foreign country, the sworn statement from the attendant. I packaged it all not in a plain manila envelope, but in one of Sphere's own branded, ridiculously expensive wellness kits that I bought online. I addressed it not to some faceless human resources department, but directly to the company's primary investor, a reclusive billionaire known for his obsession with public image and ethical business. I drove to a post office 3 towns over and sent the package with no return address. The moment it slid from my hands into the mail slot, a strange calm washed over me. The dice were rolled. There was no going back. The first few days were silent. I obsessively checked the news, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. Then the tremors started. I saw a cryptic post from an Sphere executive about integrity and truth. Then David called me. His voice was frantic. Cassandra had vanished. Her phone was off, she'd missed every meeting, and rumors were swirling through the company like a virus, whispers of a colossal scandal and a federal investigation. He said they were canceling the convention. He sounded scared, but also for the first time in months he sounded like himself again. Last night David came over. The news had finally broken. a quiet press release announcing Cassandra's immediate resignation for personal health reasons and the company undergoing a full restructuring. Her name was wiped from the website. She was gone. We sat on my porch, the one that overlooked the garden I had built with my own 2 hands, and I finally told him everything. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time, just staring out into the twilight. Then he looked at me, his expression a mixture of awe and guilt. He confessed that he hadn't been duped. He said after seeing what she did to me, he had his own suspicions. He joined Orosphere with the secret intention of getting close to her, of digging for some kind of dirt from the inside to expose her himself. He was in over his head, finding nothing but closed doors and smiling threats. He thought he was failing. He said my anonymous package hadn't just saved him, it had accomplished the very thing he had set out to do. We didn't say much after that. We just sat there as the sun went down, 2 old friends who had in our own separate ways faced the same monster. And for the first time, the silence didn't feel like something I had to build or defend. It just felt like peace, the real kind.